Depending on where you welcome to the webinar today. Today's webinar is titled Zero Waste Stories from Africa, where we are showcasing zero waste models from the continent. This webinar series spotlights on food waste and food loss solutions, waste pickers' right, and reuse systems. My name is Desmond Aluna, and I will be your facilitator for today's session. I have some of my colleagues from GAIA here that are also supporting. So thank you everyone for joining us today for this very important conversation as we look at some of the success stories for zero waste in the continent. Please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us your name, tell us where you are joining us from. GAIA, with support from the Plastic Solutions Fund and BFFP, have been funding project work across the continent, mainly on environmental justice and zero waste strategies. These grants have empowered grassroots and national organizations to develop inclusive, climate resilient zero waste models, resulting in inspiring stories, some of which we are coming to listen to today. So at this point of the grant cycle, today's webinar is a chance for the implementing organizations to reflect on their journey, share lessons that have learned, and for us to have the opportunity to join them celebrate the successes they have achieved. So we appreciate your time, and we look forward to a rich, reflective conversation among all of us. Before we proceed, I would like us to have our videos turned on, if possible, with everyone, so we can have a very nice group picture to show the beginning of our webinar. And then after that, we can proceed. So could everyone kindly put on their videos if it is possible? If your bandwidth allows you, please switch on your video and let's do that. And comms team, could you please help us have a nice picture? Let's make sure we smile.
Thanks, Desmond. All good.
Thank you, Carissa. And thank you, everyone, for putting on your videos. And now we are good to proceed. Thank you. So we'll move straight to today's presentations. Today we have 3 solid presentations from members from 3 different countries. Each speaker will have 20 minutes to share their reflections, and we will have the opportunity to have the questions and answers with these people or share our own understanding of what we get from the presentations. So we will begin with Ethiopia. Our member, Justice Ethiopia, represented here today by Eskedar Awgichew, who is the founder and executive director of Justice Ethiopia. He's a licensed attorney and a climate justice advocate with decades of experience in environmental law, policy reforms, and grassroots remobilization. Eskedar previously led the Environmental and Natural Resources Law Center at Mekelle University and continues to contribute to national legislations and MEAs that promote sustainable development. He's a Chevening Fellow, a Mandela Washington alumnus, and currently a PhD candidate at the Climate Law in the University of Addis Ababa. So, Eskedar, we are very keen to listen to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Desmond. I hope you can hear me and see the presentation. Good
Yes,
day
we
to
can.
everyone who joined us. As introduced, this is Eskedar joining you from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Our organization, Justice Ethiopia, is a local civil society organization that is working to promote environmental rights locally and also focusing its international work on climate justice as well. So today I'm going to be taking you through our experience in terms of implementing this specific project, which is on advancing zero waste strategies and environmental justice in Ethiopia. So before I delve into like the specifics of how the project was implemented and the things we managed to do and the challenges, I would like to first give you a very brief overview of the waste, Ethiopia's waste reality. So in terms of the solid waste, Ethiopia, like many of the other African countries, have a huge amount of solid waste concentrated in metropolitan areas. And in those areas, the management of solid waste has been a challenge, a huge challenge, especially in the past, causing significant problems for the city, environmental justice questions for the people, and so on. And for our case in Addis Ababa, the way solid waste is being managed currently is through a centralized landfill and incinerator dependent system. So some of you may know that Addis Ababa hosts, I think, the first and currently in terms of its size, maybe the relatively speaking, a bit of the biggest waste to energy incineration plant, which was supposed to be, the magic bullet that's going to solve all the challenges of solid waste management. And that incinerator is built right next to the landfill system. So currently, all the solid waste, without much segregation, is going to the landfill for the most part. And again, in Addis Ababa, like in many other African cities, when you take a look at the composition of the solid waste, you'd find that the majority, the overwhelming majority, researchers indicate up to 70% of the content of the solid waste from Addis Ababa is organic waste. Which means if we had a system that is not centralized, that's not based on landfill incinerators, we could, for example, if you focus on systems that actually diverted organic waste and compost them, we would actually be able to minimize the solid waste that is coming to this central disposal site by up to 70%. So this is a challenge, and obviously the solution is a different approach, like a zero waste model, which we are trying to promote in Addis Ababa, which we have also, as I will mention later on, now managed to see in the municipal policy as a prioritized approach. But a lot of challenges are faced when we try to actually shift from the regular system to a zero waste model. And that challenge partly, I would say even mainly comes from the fact that we have this incinerator-based model. So it is with this that, as I explained, the project context is emanating from because the city Addis Ababa waste system is centralized, landfill dependent, and it is increasingly pressurized by the incineration model. And so what we envisioned is to see and promote a decentralized zero waste system that diverts organic waste and also plastic waste separately, and integrate waste pickers into the formal system, and hopefully replace false solutions with more circular models. And our focus is one of the subsidies in Addis Ababa. And the waste management work, our waste management work, always try to put people at the center. So not only when we are doing the environmental justice work from the perspective of waste, but also generally when dealing with environmental justice, we have to have a human-centered, stewardship approach, where we have a system where we try to build a system, not just an individual, working culture or an individual way of life, but a system of governance that is human-centered and is considerate of the responsibility of stewardship that we have for the current and future generations. And obviously, when you are working on any justice issue, your interventions will start from the place where you see the biggest injustice. And in the waste sector, you see the biggest injustice in the way informal waste pickers are treated while delivering a very valuable service to the city and to the way we manage waste, and also being the backbone of the recycling industry. You see waste pickers, especially informal waste pickers, not getting the recognition, not getting the payment they deserve. So integrating them to a formal economy is one important approach that would allow us to actually have environmental justice in this regard and elevate the problem that informal waste pickers face. The other intervention point is to understand that the current centralization is a result of sort of false solutions that we are or our governments are following in the municipalities to manage waste. And these incompatible solutions include waste to energy power plants, which sound like a good idea because they look like they are a system that will be put in place. They will get rid of the waste, generate electricity, and it sounds like a win-win from a very distant perspective. But when you go into the details, it's actually a system that locks you into an unsustainable model, and also is not considerate of the local social ecosystem. So waste in Addis Ababa, just like again many African countries, is managed with a lot of people being involved. So a lot of individuals actually create economic benefits for themselves through cleaning, the communities, cleaning the city and managing waste. So when you actually create systems like this, one of the challenges is it actually takes away opportunities from those individuals. And it also is very environmentally unfriendly because, like I said, when you take a look at our waste composition, it is mostly organic, that is leaving our house, that's also collected at the city level, which means there is a very much more perfect solution, like turning that organic waste into compost, if you follow the zero waste approach. So, but when you have this kind of technologies installed in your city, you are disincentivized as a leader of the city or as a city government to invest on those zero waste models because you already have a very expensive technology which you have to keep, constantly feeding with the waste in hopes of getting the return on investment that probably will not come. So one of the intervention points, like I said, is to promote, a decentralized approach. And to do this, we need to create understanding within, of course, policymakers, decision makers, but also within the community. For the process to be community driven, or for us to develop community driven systems, empowering local communities is one of our main intervention points. And so it is with this understanding that we were trying to build a zero waste model. So in Addis Ababa, because of our earlier work and because of the growing understanding of the decision makers at the city level, we had last year managed to get zero waste as the leading principle included in the 10-year waste management strategy of the city. But that strategy, although it is recognized on the document, you don't see it being implemented on the ground. So that's why we were trying to get zero waste models, zero waste pilot models on the ground in different parts of Addis Ababa, so that we can develop a proof of concept and show that this is not only a theoretically sound solution, but it's also practical. But of course, this came with its own significant challenges. And our intervention again also is human-centered, and for that reason, we always focus on empowering waste pickers. So when we are focusing on empowering waste pickers, we are addressing the environmental injustice that current waste management systems create. We are also addressing the social injustice that we have within the city. So integrating waste workers into the formal economy under a just transition framework is our leading objectives. So in this regard, what we did was we delivered trainings on gender and social inclusion, and we also had continuous and sustained institutional engagements with both waste speakers and also with local government agencies that are responsible for coordinating that sector, and also again integrating informal waste speakers into the pilot initiatives we're trying to get off the ground was also our approach. And the impact was improved visibility, recognition, and institutional positioning of waste workers. Here, I would like to pause the presentation and show you a video of from our training. Like it's just a less than 2 minutes video, real quickly, so that you can see our approach also from a different perspective. Okay, so I hope from the video also you saw the messages, and it's also important to mention here again that when we are talking about transitioning from our current centralized waste management models to more decentralized inclusive systems, there is a transition. We're trying to make a shift. And when doing that transition, it's important that we remain attentive to checking the fact that these transitions are inclusive. That's the way we can make them, to be a just transition. So empowering our work that focuses on empowering waste speakers, not only relies on engaging with the waste speakers themselves, but it also relies on making sure that we engage, different decision makers and stakeholders for them to understand the importance of inclusion, so that, they will actually have, once they know and they build the capacity to assert themselves, the space will also be provided to them, at the same time. So in addition to this kind of initiatives, our project also had several public outreach and youth engagement initiatives where we focused on young people, which are the majority in the African continent. As you all know, 70% of our population is below the age of 30. So any intervention to bring change obviously would be better served if it is, if it's focused on the young people. So we had different kind of initiatives run for youth in Addis Ababa. We had school competitions, we had workshops for students, and such activities. In addition to that, in addition to the work on organics, for the plastics work, we also partnered with other local civil societies, and we developed a plastic-free guide for Addis Ababa. This is basically a guide, a very soft document that shows, how historically, for the most products that are nowadays replaced by single-use plastic products, we had an organic alternative that was more sustainable, that was more durable, and that also was made in a way that benefits local economy. So on the plastic-free guide to Addis, we showed where people living in Addis Ababa can go to find alternatives to, let's say, plastic products like bottled water, if they want to use a different mechanism. If they wanted to get more sustainable bags for carrying, their goods and things like that. We have specific, indications of where people can get them and so on. So this was also another important and successful initiative that, I'll mention also the harder laws that we worked on, but it's also important to have this kind of, soft guides so that people sometimes when you say, you cannot use plastic bags anymore, they get frustrated, not understanding that, this is not a big ask. This is something that we were already doing just a few years ago, during the times of our mothers and fathers, taking a bag from home when you go to the market was just a given. Just like you wouldn't go to the market without carrying money, back in the day, you wouldn't go to the market without carrying the basket or the tote bag that you would bring the goods from the market with. So making those links to our inherent culture and also making sure that they understand that these are things that we have already in our history, and it benefits also not only the environment but also the local economy. So in addition to this, also we try to engage in the policy space both nationally and internationally. As I mentioned, at the city level, there was the 10-year strategic plan, which we managed to influence and successfully include zero waste as a leading principle. And also internationally, we're trying to engage in the international plastics treaty negotiation through our partnership with GAIA. And we also had specific legislation passed for banning plastic bags, which I think I'll come back to. But obviously, when trying to do all these things, it doesn't actually happen without significant challenges on its own. So the challenge mainly for us in Addis Ababa comes from the fact that we have this huge waste to energy incinerator, waste to energy being in quotation because it's not actually producing any energy that is considerable. So it's just an incineration for the most part. So any alternative model we ask the city to actually include would mean diverting waste elsewhere and would have less justification for the existence of the incinerator. And most of the current management systems are all built around it. So this is a huge challenge. And in addition to that, when we try to work with the formal waste collectors, waste pickers, to divert waste to composting sites that we have helped create within the communities, the challenge of payment becomes a huge issue. Because in our city, the way the waste collectors, the formal waste collectors, the way they are paid is based on the weight of the waste they deliver to the landfill and incineration site. So there is only one huge scale that measures, trucks that bring in the waste that is collected by the waste collectors. And the payment for the waste collectors that is collected from the public is paid by the government to them based on the weight. And they only do that calculation at the incineration site. So that means when the waste collectors we're trying to work with divert a certain portion of the waste to us for a composting site, they would lose income they would get. Because that decreases the total weight they will deliver at the landfill site. So this is a huge challenge which we are still unfortunately not able to completely solve because this would require the government to completely or at least partly change the way they manage the payment system for waste collection. And obviously we are continuing to work on this with the stakeholders, with the waste pickers, with the compost makers, and also the government. And hopefully we will see some changes soon. Like I said, some of our key achievements was the establishment of the foundational framework for a zero waste pilot in one of the sub-cities in Addis Ababa, integrating waste pickers into the formal discussion. Now, even governments, when they are doing policy discussions nowadays, they are also inviting the waste pickers. So this has now, starting to become a norm, and hopefully it will continue, and we'll try to push for it to continue. We published a citywide plastic-free guide. We influenced national plastic policy. We also had the solid waste management proclamation revised last year, and we are also currently actively working on the implementation regulations and directives. And one of the achievements was this revised solid waste management proclamation completely banned the use of single-use plastic bags and also is restricting the use of single-use plastic products across the board. And obviously, as I said, we are continuing in these efforts, and we need a lot of support in transitioning from the current system to a new one. And the investment in building composting infrastructures also requires a lot of attention and support. And I think in terms of any other issues, because my time has run out, I will stop here and come back if you have any questions. Thank you very much. Sorry if I had run a couple of minutes over.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eskedar. We appreciate it, and I think you were not so much. Inspiring to listen to. You will explain the problem, and I think so many people, even without incinerator plants in their countries, can relate to this, where there's a centralized system and you are trying to prove, and that system has failed. But then it is not as easy winning government's interest by just saying that, yes, this system has failed, I have an alternative. They need you to actually prove that, and there will be a lot of doubts along the way. You've also offered the solution, which is you have to first of all think of decentralization, human-centered approach, environmental justice approach, You know, considering all these things are usually not as, if how do they call it, very sweet experience for those who are trying to promote their capital intensive products. And so there will also be friction or challenges with that. But you've been able to prove that this is possible by engaging communities and by demonstrating results. So we appreciate so much the work at Justice Ethiopia. And at the end of the two other presentations, questions that have come your way will be read to you, and we will have the opportunity to more interact on this. So I want to move quickly to our next presenter, who is coming from Uganda, Namwanga Patricia Kizito, who is the Programs and Communications Lead for End Plastic Solutions, Uganda. Namwanga's creativity and strategic vision has been steering end plastic pollutions to develop compelling narratives and amplify the organization's mission and inspire work that is going to create a more sustainable future. She brings on board both academic and professional experience in accounting, with so much interest in green accounting and climate finance. Ms. Namwanga has also completed several zero waste and waste in general studies, taking advantage of United Nations platforms, and also with our very own Africa Zero Waste Academy, which has been held in South Africa and in Tanzania. She's been a graduate from both of them. And she has developed strategic leadership through training and also training other young people on the topics of waste, climate action, and environmental sustainability alike. Now we have her today to present the work that End Plastic Solutions have been doing in Uganda and to share the lessons that they have learned so far. Patricia, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I hope I'm very audible at the moment. Good afternoon, team. My name is Namwanga Patricia Kizito from End Plastic Pollution, Uganda. End Plastic Pollution is a youth-led, community-based organization with a focus on the intersection between the people, the environment, and the economy. Yes, we are bringing to you our Zero Waste project that was in 2025. And I hope you people enjoy our work. It was entitled Mainstreaming Zero Waste in Masulita Town Council. That is where our major work is focusing. Next slide, please. The major goal, the project goal, we established the problem, which was poor waste management in Masulita Town Council. You can see what was happening. We are having a lot of waste being poorly managed in that town council specifically. And our goal was to build a replicable, systematic zero waste model that engages the entire community. And of course, we are trying to engage the entire community as an organization. Next slide, please. The overall status of the project since we started and where we are now. We are saying we moved basically from awareness, because we are doing more of awareness, but now we are doing concrete implementation while creating a reinforcing cycle of change. Through this, we have established a material recovery facility. We have also managed to empower 32 waste pickers. We have launched as Youth Zero Waste Ambassadors program. That is, we have trained so far 30 youth. Then we managed to secure a signed memorandum of understanding with Masulita Town Council. And we have also managed to divert 30% of the waste that was going to Sekanyama dump site. Next slide, please. Our achievements as an organization, we are going to start with our achievement number 1. Our achievement involved both the community and the waste pickers. We managed to engage our community that was moving from house to house. So we managed to engage 50 households directly with them. We managed to train 30 youth in that community, and of which 10 were the community champions. So in total, we managed to train 40 youth. We also managed to increase waste recovery throughout the Masulita Town Council. You know, in Uganda, the waste recovery had been left to the Kampala Capital City Authority, but we are managing to increase that waste recovery in this particular town council where we are having our engagements. We managed to empower waste pickers, that is 32 waste pickers, through training and also engaging with them in different activities such that we can have them on board. We managed to create 10 new dignified full-time jobs at our material recovery facility. That was, we managed to bring on board security guards, waste sorters, people helping us sort the waste, people helping us bring the waste to the material recovery facility. Next slide, please. Our achievement number 2 is we managed to engage youth and schools. We trained over 30 youth zero waste ambassadors through our comprehensive zero waste ambassadors program. Right now, we are having those youth lead the community sensitization efforts. We are also having a zero waste schools program. We managed to roll out 10 schools, so meaning we engaged over 2,000 students in those schools. We also established waste segregation points in 3 schools directly. So we collect directly this waste to our MRF, helping us with the recovery here and there. We also managed to plant a culture of environmental stewardship in these very students. In these students you're seeing, and the youth you're seeing here on screen, we are having the youth liaisons person in Masulita Town Council. So we are also engaging directly with the different government people, especially those on the grassroots level. Next slide, please. Our achievement number 3 was the policy and infrastructure. In this, we had a government partnership with Masulita Town Council. Recently, we had a waste audit, and we had our waste audit data integrated into the local government waste management planning and national strategies. That was to help manage the plastic and organic waste in that very area. We also strengthened the material recovery facility operations. We connected the facility to tap water and electricity grid. We also installed the water tank and provided weighing scales and computer for data-driven management. Next slide, please. Our achievement number 4 was advocacy and data. Next slide. Just like you're seeing here, we conducted different data-driven advocacy. Of course, you must have data such that you can be able to air out your point with evidence. So here we are having, we conducted the Western brand audits that we are providing evidence for what was really happening in Masulita Town Council. So that is why the Town Council really gave us their ears, and we managed to secure an MOU with them. We also, the material recovery facility, we managed to give it a functional system for tracking waste inflows and waste outflows. So we have books whereby we are trying to manage and track data waste flows, inflows, and outflows. We also have the SAP-Free Uganda campaign. We reached over 100,000 people digitally, and amplified national conversations on plastic pollution and corporate accountability. For those that know our website, you're free to go there and look at this SAP-Free campaign. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Our achievement number 5, we tackled food waste. We managed to tackle food waste. We managed to tackle food waste in landfills. And in this, we found out that the major problem was food waste in landfill isn't just trash. It was contributing to the methane gas, which is very, very dangerous, a greenhouse gas, which is 82.5 times more potent than carbon dioxide over 20 years. So our solution was to carry out decentralized composting. So at our material recovery facility, we are having a zero waste model that is taking up 3-ton capacity composting facility. I think you can see the composting area and the compost itself inside. So in so doing this, we are helping clean up the community while the community is also bringing back to us. So we are having we normally get this waste from households and the local markets in Masulita Town Council. At the material recovery facility, we are also managing to this compost. We are using it to enrich the soil. Next slide, please. Hello, next slide, please. So like you can see here, we are moving from food waste to food sovereignty. We are closing the loop. Our work goes beyond waste diversion. We are proving that zero waste and regenerative agriculture go hand in hand. We see this is our garden at the Collect Village. We are having a compost section. So compost that comes from the compost section, we are using it to grow our food here. We are seeing eggplants and a few other vegetables. So our compost enriches the soil structure, fertility, and we are avoiding the use of harmful chemical fertilizers. It also supports community gardens because we have a team that normally comes and picks waste, that comes and picks the compost from our compost section to their gardens. So in so doing, we are engaging the community, we are leading food security, we are also leading food sovereignty, and also reducing food waste and food loss. Yes, next slide, please. So as we go to the next slide, we are trying to build a system that is self-sufficient. What worked well for us as an organization, we managed to link, we're having an integrated approach. We are managing to link the community, the waste pickers, the youth, and policymakers, hence creating a reinforcing cycle of change. Because when you have all these people integrated together, it is very easy to reinforce change among the people. We are also having data-driven advocacy. We are having hard data, which is evidence. This data is very crucial for us to use while convincing the government to carry on with our zero waste model, to carry on with our zero waste activities, both in the community and the country at large. We also managed to focus on dignity because very many waste pickers in Uganda have been treated as nobodies. Some people call them different names here and there, but with this zero waste model, while incorporating them, it is very easy to build trust with them and ensure active participation. What we learned and what were the gaps in our work, we had political timelines. In Uganda, we've been having elections, so most people were tying most of this work to the politics in Uganda, the political elections and all that. So we managed to maneuver and implement our zero waste structure. There is also a problem of holistic needs. That is a very big gap when it comes to waste pickers. Waste pickers, most of them are drug addicts, and some of them do a lot of alcohol abuse. This was deeper than what we had expected as an organization. So we're having challenges integrating them into our system, but we are coping thanks to this zero waste model. Next slide, please. Hello, next slide, please. Yes, so our opportunities and the next steps. This project of ours has created new pathways, especially with the government, with the waste pickers, like you've seen the integration with the youth. So we hope to expand the model and to replicate this very model beyond Masulita Town Council, because Masulita Town Council is just in Wakiso district, but we hope to take it to the next level. We also hope to develop and transform it into a hub, that is the Collect Village, which will be a vibrant hub for zero waste learning demonstrations and environmental education, such that we can be able to bring on more youth, because they are the leaders of tomorrow that can pursue this concept upwards. We also hope to deepen our research as we are also trying to pursue partnerships to conduct waste audits on River Nile and River Rizi, that is expanding our advocacy footprint all throughout the country, and also making sure that our data is backed, whatever we talk about is always backed by evidence. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is a thank you note. I thank the End Plastic Pollution team and also the GAIA support team. I'm also thanking the waste speakers that we managed to work well with, the youth of Masulita Town Council and the different youth around the country that have been able to give us, to help us build this successful model from the foundation. So we hope to work together. On different projects as we are being assisted and guided by our partners. We are so grateful and we look forward to work with you this year, 2026. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Patricia. And again, so much appreciation to your work and the work that you're doing at End Plastic Pollution. I mean, it was very clear with respect to what the problem has been. Quite similar across the continent, the centralization of waste management with, say, like you mentioned, Kampala, is part of the challenge because it is not engaging as many people as possible, knowing we have one of the highest unemployment rate as a continent. And it is also not diverting as much as possible. Your solution has also been clear. We've seen your focus in providing infrastructure for informal groups like waste pickers to be able to work and have space to talk to themselves. We've seen how you engage young people as a vehicle for actually delivering your message. We've seen how you recognize the role of government by signing the MOU with government to ensure that there's political will and there's more a bigger sense of understanding with your model. I think that is very unique. The aspect of delving deeper into food waste and food loss prevention and actually ensuring that your compost that you are producing is ensuring food sovereignty. I think that's also something really worth noting. And of course, above all, you made emphasis to the data-driven approach that you are doing. I think this is also a challenge with most of African countries, especially with the municipalities and the metropolitan assemblies, that having the data that is near accuracy to actually make a case is always a challenge. So I'm very happy that you are taking this really seriously. Thank you so much. I would like to move straight to our next presenter. Of course, I'm happy to remind all of you that at the end of the last presentation, there will be room for discussion and question and answers. Our next presenter is also coming from the DRC. So Maybe just to notify everyone that as you were informed about the interpretation provided, take advantage of that because he will make his presentation in French. Robert Kitumaini is the executive director of SOPRODE. SOPRODE stands for Solidarité pour la protection des droits de les enfants. Forgive my French. And they are based in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. He leads community-based waste management and environmental justice initiatives, including the Bukavu Zero Waste City and Bukavu Zero Waste, the DRC Zero Waste, which are both projects that have been supported by GAIA before. The main focus has been on organic waste management, climate action, development of circular economy solutions that create green jobs with local community benefits. So SOPRODE's project implement very integrated approach combining agroecology, arboriculture, agroforestry, as well as ecosystem restoration to strengthen community resilience to climate change. The organization is also actively engaged in plastics management, both in policy and actually working with community to promote sustainable alternatives to plastics, and advocacy, also working with different groups to educate communities and how to manage plastic waste. They also, as part of their organics work, they transform organic waste into compost and also insect-based protein for agriculture purposes, especially farmers, and to improve food security. So today we have Robert representing the organization to speak about the work they have done during the last year and where they are headed to. So, Monsieur Robert, the floor is yours.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Desmond.
Thank you very much, Mr. Desmond, for giving me the floor. You have presented me, so I will go to my presentation today. I will present our zero waste project. We dealing with community solution for organic waste, and we also use circular economy. And I say thank you for GAIA for the support and for the World Networks. My presentation will be in 6 points. First point, we will talk about the context and the problems. Second, the link to food waste. And third, it will be our approach to the project implemented, especially in this city and generally in DRC as well. 5 points, the challenge and lesson learned. We will show the results and impact of zero waste that we had last year. And also we will talk about the lesson learned and then about the vision and the perspectives. And then we will conclude. The project was implemented in Bukavu, a city in the east of DRC, near the border with Rwanda. It used to have another name, but also it's a project that was set in rapid urbanization. There was a real boom in this city,
Nous notons aussi
and it was very quickly urbanized, and the problem of waste increased, and there was a huge pollution. Most of the waste is thrown
plus de 60% des
in
déchets sont
nature.
organiques.
More than 60% of the waste is organic, but we also have plastic waste. For plastic waste, we are negotiating and we are involved in negotiation about the plastic treaty. So plastic means locally made plastics.
Mais aussi, il faut préciser par rapport aux déchets
And
organiques.
in terms of organic waste,
Ils sont mélangés avec
they
d'autres
are
déchets.
mixed most of the time with
Comme
other
je l'ai dit,
waste.
ils sont brûlés
And
ou
as I
abandonnés.
said, they can be
Cela
burnt
entraîne
or
donc
just thrown in nature. So you can imagine when it's burnt, the air pollution, and then there is the soil pollution and water pollution, which means very important health risks.
C'est là effectivement que se situe le problème.
That's where the problem is mostly, but also the solution. Now there is food waste. We can see in our cities there is this habit of food waste. We can see food waste on the markets or other places, and this food waste will produce methane, and it's a very powerful greenhouse gas. But the same organic waste, if you valorize it, it becomes an advantage, and that's what we are trying to do, to look at the way we could make this food waste a source of something positive. We want to make it a valorized resource. We are going to the next slide now. And to face this challenge in this context, our organization chose an approach, that is to say, to have a community zero waste project. So we started by awareness raising using social networks and more traditional media as well. We also use the sorting out of waste, because very often people do not sort out their waste, and we also had organized collecting of waste with the households, and then we also started valorizing organic waste. So we started having waste collectors
qui font un effort remarquable dans la valorisation des déchets.
And these actors play an important role in waste management. And often their rights are not respected. So we want to include them, and by doing so, we decided to offer them a training. And during our work, during this project, we worked with a certain amount of stakeholders, households, the households that actually produce waste. And we also worked with the youth, and we worked with the key actors, the key players who play a major role in the production of waste and its management. So we also worked with women.
De la pollution, que ce soit la pollution plastique.
On plastic pollution, etc., or pollution related to waste in general. And as I said earlier, we worked with waste pickers and also with farmers. As you can see, we used an inclusive approach, and also that is inclusive geographically speaking. Next slide, please. I think it's next slide again. So during this work, we collaborated with the city, with the municipality, with the local authorities. When I'm talking about local authorities in our context, I'm talking about the different districts and leaders in those districts. They are in regular contact with the population, and we thought that we needed to involve them. So we need to involve these public servants, but also the city hall and people working there, because they are in charge of managing the waste of the city, especially for the case of Bukavu. And this collaboration allowed us to identify the important areas, the priority areas, and to reinforce the credibility of the project.
C'est vrai, un défi dans les contextes où les systèmes sont faibles.
And it was important in areas where systems are weak. And with our vision and with our determination, we continue our work and we continue to make this effort to improve the systems that are, as I said, very weak. And so during this project, we also realized that a zero waste solution must be built with the communities, but they must also be supported by the institutions. We need this collaboration with the city, with the local authorities, with the city hall, and these zero waste solutions must be supported by these institutions and the communities. And next slide, please. So let's talk now about the results of our project. So I can say that the results are very encouraging. On one side, we have 100,000 people who have been sensitized. As I said to you, we have used different ways, different sensitization channels to sensitize people, social networks, media, etc., so that we could reach out to as many people as possible. We managed to establish 2 collection points per city. And among good results that we have obtained, we had 480 tons of waste collected and 3 committees of collectors committees created. And so we can see that the communities are ready to change. You can, next slide, please. There we go. So let's continue with the results that we have obtained. And in terms of organic waste, 300 tons of we have produced 300 tons of waste, and this waste, if you actually in our work, we have also proceeded to produce larvas. They called black
C'était
soil
pour
fly larvae, and they used for animal feeding, and
redistribuer aux
this was
agriculteurs
redistributed
les terres.
to farmers and
Et
livestock
résultat,
breeders, and
nous avons constaté une
we
amélioration de
managed
la fertilité des sols
we actually see a
sur une
better,
réduction
an
de
improved soil
coûts
fertility,
d'agriculture. Mais
a
aussi, nous
reduction
avons
of waste in
constaté avec
landfills,
satisfaction
and
une
also
réduction
we
des émissions
realized that
de
there
méthane.
was a reduction of
Les émissions
methane
méthaniques sont à
emissions.
c'est
As you
net,
know
c'est
that
exceptionnel.
this organic waste can emit a lot of
Alors,
these dangerous
face à ce
gases.
travail
So,
encourageant, à ces résultats évoqués ici par rapport à
thanks to these encouraging results that I've just mentioned,
nous avons constaté
we have
et nous
realized
marquons le déchet peut devenir la base
that
économique durable.
waste
Nous avons donc
can
constaté
be the basis of a
que
sustainable
les
economy,
déchets peuvent
and
devenir la base
waste
d'économie locale.
can be also the basis of a local economy.
Seconde suivante,
Next slide, please.
S'agissant de l'impact social,
So, regarding
lié à
the
notre
social impact
le projet a
linked to our
été un grand
project,
impact social.
we had a very big social impact with our
Par exemple,
project.
il y a eu
For
90
example,
agriculteurs accompagnés,
we had 90
60 éleveurs
farmers
soutenus.
and 60 livestock breeders that were
Nous
supported and
avons
accompanied.
constaté
We
6 coopératives agricoles ont été
created
créées,
six,
c'est-à-dire par
we
la
realized that
production.
6
Nous avons
cooperatives were created,
6 coopératives
so
agricoles
6
les
farming cooperatives were created
la production agricole.
to promote
Et nous avons aussi
farming
constaté
production.
l'impact social.
And then we
Des
also
emplois.
realized that it created green
Des
jobs.
qui ont été formés. Ces
Youth,
agriculteurs qui ont
the youth
été
was
accompagnés,
trained, and
ils se
the
développent
farmers were
aussi.
trained, and the breeders were
On a constaté
supported.
une création
And we
d'emplois verts.
realized that there were,
Nous
after
avons aussi
that,
constaté
a
comme
creation of green
impact
jobs.
social
And then
une inclusion des jeunes
we included the youth and the
Comme je l'ai
women,
dit
because as I
précédemment,
said earlier,
les jeunes et les femmes étaient
the youth
impliqués
and the
à un
women
niveau
were
important
involved,
dans l'organisation de ce
very
projet.
much involved in this project.
Seconde suivante diapo, s'il vous plaît.
Next slide, please.
Parlant de l'impact environnemental.
So in terms of environmental
les impacts environnementaux
impact,
étaient
these impacts were quite
Très significatifs,
significant
j'allais dire, par rapport à ce projet.
within
Nous avons
this
constaté
project,
pendant
because we realized
la
that
exécution de ce projet
during the implementation of this
une
project, a
réduction
reduction of waste that were burnt
grâce au
or
plaidoyer
incinerated,
mené,
thanks to all the
grâce
advocacy
aussi
we
à
did,
la collecte
and also
structurée
thanks
des
to
déchets.
the
Nous avons constaté
the very well structured collection of waste.
Nous avons constaté aussi
We also realized an improvement of air quality, but also the reduction of methane, which we talked about earlier. Another important environmental impact is the fact that the soils were better protected. We contributed, as you can imagine, to the protection of soil, and we obviously contributed to the combat against climate change. When it comes to the different issues that we face and the challenges that we faced, sorry. In our context, for example, we have very few organized systems for waste management. So it becomes very difficult, as you can imagine, to sort and to collect and to recover all this waste. And we also had limited financial resources, as you can see. The management of waste, especially of bio-waste, needs or requires equipment and investments. We need also training and logistics, and this is insufficient in our context.
Ensuite, comme défi,
And then next, as the next challenge, we realized that there was a very little involvement or institutional involvement and engagement. We obviously, during our advocacy, we approached different stakeholders, and we realized that there were efforts made, but public policies remain quite limited. So it is quite difficult to extend the different local initiatives.
Avancer, parlons des leçons apprises.
So what were the lessons learned? Next slide, yes.
Nous avons constaté,
So we realized, we actually noticed the following lessons. There is the importance of community awareness, and we need to see that the context must be adapted also to waste management. The involvement of the communities is essential for the zero waste model. So you have to involve communities, you need to be sensitized. Another lessons learned is the opportunity, the economic opportunity that it represents. We also have another lesson learned. It is also difficult for things to happen or to work in very fragile context. So this is something to take into account. Next slide, please. So perspective and vision. So what do we expect for the future? We would like to extend this model to other districts because the city is quite big and vast. And there are 3 towns and 20 districts, but we focused only on certain areas, and we want to extend this model to other areas. And then we would like to reinforce the different partnership with other cities, other towns. So we want to go outside Bukavu and maybe find a partnership with another city so that we can have more impact. Then we would like to develop green entrepreneurship to empower the youth. And we want to develop youth and women entrepreneurship and also obviously of communities in general. And in the future, we would like to influence public policies.
Seconde diapo, suivante diapo.
Next slide, please.
Alors, comme vision, nous souhaitons avoir une ville zéro déchet, une économie circulaire inclusive, une réduction du gaspillage alimentaire et avoir des communautés résilientes face au changement climatique. Et pour terminer, nous avons constaté que le gaspillage alimentaire est un défi majeur, mais aussi une opportunité de transformation. Notre expérience montre que les communautés sont prêtes, que les solutions existent, que le changement est possible. Et pour terminer, comme message final que nous donnons,
so to finish now, now we want to change the challenges into opportunities. And what we want to do is to look at this experience in Bukavu as an inspiration for other cities. Thank you for your attention. I will now try to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Robert. I think that your presentation has also done justice to the topic. You've explained what the challenge is. You've explained how poor waste management is affecting communities. You went deeper to talk about solutions you are providing, which is really good. You talked about providing the collection centers, which is really cool because infrastructure is key. When communities don't know where to take their waste to, then they put it anywhere. And I think that is very good that you're providing that. I also like the linkage that you drew with the agriculture aspect. I like the fact that you are composting and at the same time you're producing the black soldier larvae mainly to feed the farm collectives or cooperatives and provide that support, which then can go into the issues of food sovereignty and food waste prevention. I like particularly the fact that you stress on diverting the waste mainly for the purpose of avoiding the emission of methane, but also burying it back in the form of compost, burying back the carbon to particularly rejuvenate soil biodiversity, which is what is very needed in African context because of the kind of agricultural practices that we do. Soil biodiversity is depleted, and so rejuvenating that is very important. So thank you so much, Monsieur Robert. And thank you to my other two presenters for the amazing work. We will move, we've been working within time. We have a few minutes left. We'll move straight to have questions and answers at this point. So I will say the floor is open now. Some of you have put in questions on the chat. I'm going to start with those ones. And anybody who has questions or comments can also feel free to put up your hand and we can tackle it that way. I think there was one question from Piotr. I think this was going to Justice Ethiopia. So if Eskedar, you are still here, I think Piotr was trying to understand if you could explain a bit more or talk about the Minalesh Terra market, which is in Addis Ababa, because he said that there's an interesting, that your model is interesting. If you can explain a bit more around that.
Okay, thank you, Desmond, and thank you, Piotr, for the question. I'm trying to find the question again so that I can address it completely. Or Desmond, if you have it, can you read it out?
Yes. He was basically saying that one of the interesting examples is in Addis Ababa, for sure, and it's the Minalesh Terra market. Could you elaborate on this?
So, yes, Minalesh Terra is found in Mercato. Mercato is, I think, in the Eastern Africa, the biggest open market. And one significant
I'm sorry, I think Eskedar has froze. Okay, I think he may be having challenges with internet. So I will proceed until he comes back. The next was more like a request. We will make available the contacts of our presenters and their organizations available. Hevbita had asked if it was possible to connect with End Plastic Pollution. Heavy Beta is from the Congo Green. So we will make available the listing. Lucian from Cameroon, which is also from River Cleanup, Cameroon, was also asking about market for composting. I think this was going to Namwanga. It was asking, how has been your experience with market for the compost that you produce? That is, if you are basically selling direct, or if you are also I think both you and Robert can answer this. If you are providing it to the farmers, how is the market like for compost?
Thank you for the opportunity. Once again, if you're talking of, we do not sell the compost to the farmers, though we give back to the community, because these people most times they just give us the compost. So it is also they just give us what we use to compost. So it is also our turn to give back to the community. So we don't have any competition so far with chemical fertilizers, because most farmers are deep in the villages, fertilizers. So it has been easy for us to dig deep into this compost they need from us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, part of Patricia's submission was cut off, but yeah, we've been following their work, and basically what she's saying is that they collect the waste from the families, the households, restaurants, for free. They deposit it also for free, and so they do not sell the compost. They rather see this as collecting from farmers and returning it back to farmers or community. Eskedar is back. Eskedar, do you want to continue about the market?
Yes, sorry for the interruption. It was a result of the internet problem. So I was saying Minalesh Tara is found in one of the biggest open markets in Addis Ababa. So Minalesh Tara literally translates into what do you have? So it's actually a place where anyone and everyone in the city can go to sell whatever product they have on hand that they don't use. And it's also a place where scrap dealers that go around the neighborhood, waste pickers that go around the neighborhood collecting potentially recyclable items actually go and sell. And in this place, it's not only the exchange of materials that happens promoting reuse, but also there is a huge recycling and customization that also goes on. It's really interesting. There are a few documentaries online for people who are interested to learn more about Minalesh Tara, to see the social dynamics, to see how circularity is actually promoted in a very localized way in that market. So thank you, Piotr, for raising that and allowing us to share the experience from Mercato Minalesh Tara. Isman, you're muted. We're not hearing you.
I'm so sorry. Thank you so much, Eskedar, for the explanation. We also had a question from Ramatulai to Robert, and she's asking, can you kindly explain the composition used when one wants to use food waste for organic manure? Okay, I don't know if Robert got me, but I think what we can do is we will share the links to this organization so you can learn more, because this is basically asking how is the composting process, and there are so many different kind of composting, and these ones they use the pit composting, they will use the withrow composting, and then aside from the larvae that they produce. I think that's what I can share on this. I'm wondering if it is okay for us to take another photo, a final photo, before we bring this webinar to a close. Would everyone be kind to put on their video again for us to... We took one at the beginning. Some of you missed it, just like some of you will miss this one as well, but I think we will have a very good one. So, comms team, let me know when you are done. Smile.
All good, Desmond.
Thank you so much, Carissa. So much appreciation. All right, so we've come towards the end of our webinar. And as you know, this is a webinar series, and it is featuring the work that GAIA members across the continent of Africa are doing. Today's webinar has been projects that are piloted zero waste models, working with government, working with waste pickers, integrating young people's work into their plans. And it has been projects that featured heavily the work around food loss, food waste, and food prevention, food waste prevention. Next webinar in this series is coming the end of April, and it's going to talk more around plastics management and reuse systems in Africa. That webinar is also going to demonstrate how reuse deposit return systems, how the member organizations are trying to revolutionize the waste management sector by setting up refill stations in communities, with government, with different private sector work. So I would encourage you to not miss that and make sure that you are present in that next webinar. It will be published just like we published this one on our socials. Those who are GAIA members, you will receive it also in the mailing list. Bookmark it, make sure that you put this on your calendar and encourage as many people that may be relevant for the topics to be present, because this is where you learn and this is where you get to know who could be an expert for your work when you want to invite or take advantage of the GAIA network for the resources that we have. I want to believe that is all. And I would say thank you so much to our presenters who have been with us throughout from the beginning to this time. And thank you so much to our members. Thank you so much to our partners who have joined the meeting. And thank you so much, everyone who have been here, especially those of you who have been also interactive. And I wish everyone the best of the week and the weekend as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.